أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على Muhammad. Eid, come and find it, please. Eid Mubarak to everyone. The happy occasion that just passed, the birthday anniversary of our seventh Imam, Imam Musa Al-Kazim, alayhi salam. We, of course, are coming towards the end of Dhul Hijjah, which means that next weekend, Sunday to be precise, will be the beginning of the sacred month of Muharram. And that means there are going to be majalis everywhere. I won't be here next Friday. I have a program somewhere else. Someone will be here to substitute for me. And that's why I thought it would be a good idea for me to make sure that I remind all my brothers and sisters to put as much effort as you can in two things. Number one, when you are participating in the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for you to somehow gain a new insight into the tragedy of Karbala and learn, educate yourself about the inspirational side of the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And number two, to treat your participation as an act of worship. Because indeed it is. When you are attending a majlis of Imam Hussein, do so with wudu, do so with sincerity and ikhlas. Whether you are listening to the lecture or shedding tears, listening to the musibah, or when you are doing your latum, your ma'tam, or when you are helping with the food, or when you are cleaning up afterwards, whatever it is that you're doing in service of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it has khayr dunya wal akhirah. And this is why they say, if you want dunya, go to Imam Hussein. If you want akhirah, also go to Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi. Why is it that out of all the imams, that one imam is singled out in every single occasion that we have? Even on Eid al-Adha that we had here, there's a special ziyarah for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. On every single occasion we know, holy, sacred, happy, sad, there is a ziyarah for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That's why there's one hadith that says, Kulluna sufunul najat. All of us are the arks of salvation. Wasafinatul Hussein asra. However, the ark of Imam Hussein is faster. Safinatul Hussein asra. Another hadith says, Kulluna abwabul najat. All of us are the doors of salvation. Wababul Hussein awsa. Whereas the door of Imam Hussein is wider. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We know that one of the things that we repeat a minimum of 10 times per day is the ayah, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us unto the right path. Why is everyone sitting on the floor? Why is there like social distancing here? Why are the chairs so far away from each other? Dajun, bring some chairs from the back. Are you comfortable there? You sure? Who's making that noise? Is that? What was I saying before Mr. Dajun interrupted? Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. We know that this ayah, no, it's all right, don't worry. We know that this ayah, don't worry, sit down please. We know that this ayah means, not only does it mean guide us, it also means continue. Ihdina, dhamir, here is me, us. The fi'l is a fi'l mudari', which means now and continuously. Continue to guide us on the right path. What's the minimum number of wajib times we repeat that per day? 10. Because from the 17 wajib rak'ahs that you pray, 10 of them are in rak'ah 1 and rak'ah 2. It's wajib for you to recite Suratul Fatiha. So the minimum amount of times that you say that is 10 times. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you on the right path. And this is no coincidence, because we know that it's really, really difficult for us to somehow cling onto our faith without being disturbed or distracted from the many difficult things that we face on a regular basis. We know that when it comes to a shaitan, either the external shaitan, which is of course Iblis, or the internal shaitan, which could be your own self, your own nafs. There are many ways of how it is going to somehow disturb your path that you are on. We know that it is, of course, going to bring about a lot of challenges in your life. And this is why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, because of how difficult our lives are, he says there will come a time where al-qabidu ala dinih, someone who's clinging on to their religion, kal-qabidi ala jamrah. What does jamrah mean? No. Thank you. A coal, a piece of coal, faham, piece of faham. Clinging onto your religion is like clinging onto a burning coal because of how difficult it is for us. And that's why your enemy, your arch, is it arch or arc? Arch enemy or arc enemy? Arch enemy. Who said arch? ليش archery هو? Or is it arc enemy? How do you spell it? Yeah, arch nemesis. Is it arch or arc? Thank you. What's your name? Yeah. Salam. Salam Farmande. Your arch enemy, was it arch, wasn't it? Is a shaitan. And that's why we have so many verses that remind us of that. What's that say? What's that say? Read it out. Inna shaitana lakum aduwwun fattakhidhuhu aduwa. Shaitan is your enemy, so make sure you place it. Remind yourself that he is your enemy. What about that? Wala tattabi'u. What's wrong, Ali? You okay today? No, him. Innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Shaitan is a clear enemy. Sa'idi, give the chair to the back. Mr. What's your name? Give the chair to the back. Give the chair to the back. No, be behind you. What's your name? Yeah, and you too. Now, Ahmed, you're special. You've got back problems. So, these are what? We just read out 2 verses from the Holy Quran, and there are many more verses that speak about how Shaitan is your enemy. And that's why here I said your active and real enemy, because what he wants to do is he wants to inflict damage onto you. He wants to misguide you, direct you in a way that is further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why do we say that Shaitan is sly and cunning? Shaitan never says, hey, by the way, I want you to reject God. Right? God, we all believe in, and there's not going to be any way that Shaitan is able, inshallah, to misguide us on that. But Shaitan comes with other deceptive ways. For example, Shaitan says, yeah, that was really good that you did your prayer. MashaAllah. But did you do wudu? And then you start having these intrusive thoughts. And Shaitan doesn't say, don't do wudu. Shaitan says, yeah, you did wudu, but do it again so you can make sure it's better. And then you do it again. And then Shaitan says, oh yeah, really, really good, but do it another time to make it even betterer. And then you do it a third time. What does that lead to? Huh? Waswasa. It leads to you having excessive doubt, otherwise known as OD. Right? And that's, of course, very dangerous as well. Shaitan doesn't say, don't do wudu. Shaitan doesn't say, don't pray. Shaitan comes from different ways. Shaitan doesn't say, oh yeah, don't, go and speak to that person, or go and, interact with that non-mahram person. No, Shaitan says, mashallah, you are of eligible marriage age. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to get married, there are obstacles. You don't need to worry about them because az-zawaj nisf ad-din and all these manipulative ways, exploiting your naivety and, of course, at the same time getting you off the path. That's why Iblis in the Quran, Iblis says, لَأَقْعُدَنَّ عَلَى. Anyone knows the rest of the ayah? صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Which basically means that Iblis acknowledges that there is a straight path. Iblis can't block it. Iblis is going to use other avenues, right, to dissuade you, right, sidetrack you. That's what happens, right? And of course, this is going to lead to many, many mashakil. So there's a process. It doesn't just happen straight away. This misguidance, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? We're talking about how can we stay guided. You're at university, you're hanging around with a variety of friends. Not all of them are Shia, not all of them are Muslim. They have different views, they have different belief system, they have different family values, right? And all of a sudden, you're faced with this dilemma that you have connected with a really, really nice person, but their values are different to you. They don't believe in the same moral system as you do. And therefore, that's when the slippery slope starts, where you start saying, oh yeah, that's right, my family, they're really insisting on me doing this or me doing that. And all of a sudden we've got this person, the friend of mine who's always doing this, freedom, their own car, their own way to come and go as they wish, no, curfew as far as what time they need to be back home, and none of these things. Whereas for me, I've got a list of things that I am not allowed to do. And then you start questioning yourself whether or not, your family are even treating you right. Because now you have someone who you are comparing yourself to. And unfortunately, that's the nature of a human being. We never compare ourselves to good examples. We always compare ourselves to those who we think are somehow better off. That's why the Quran says, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. That we become tyrannical once we feel that sense of independence that we have. So, first of all, our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes weaker and weaker because we're more inclined and distracted in other things. Then we start dismissing what it is that other people are saying to us. We don't listen to advice anymore. We become very, very independent. We become very self-absorbed. We don't like people telling us what to do. What do they usually say? You're not my father. I say, even if that person was your father, you still wouldn't be listening to them. That's the worst sentence What's going on here? You eating? That's the worst sentence that I hate. Yeah, take the rubbish off him. Yeah, thank you, Abedin. Give it to Tuni. Tuni, give it to Saidi. Saidi, give it to Ahmed. Yeah, pass it on. Yeah, pass it on all the way until it goes to the rubbish bin. Yep, that's the way. MashaAllah. So we start trusting our wisdom, so-called wisdom, of course, right? Then we start getting obsessed with dunya. Again, comparing yourself. Why are you wearing Fila and someone else is wearing Ben Sherman? And then the other person is wearing Puma with a G-Shock watch. Whereas you go to, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, you go to Kmart and do your shopping. And you only go on to Kmart and Target at the end of the season because everything is on sale, right? Obsessed, becoming obsessed with dunya. And again, that doesn't happen overnight. That's a process, a mental process that you're preparing yourself with. Consumerism, which is really, really bad. How many times have we talked about people with obsession with mobile phones, changing their phones every couple of months and whatnot? You know, it's also really, really dangerous. And then, of course, we start making our own decisions. We choose our own path, and we want to do this and we want to do that, and all these other things that, of course, happen to us. The problem here is that we don't have that level of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't really feel that connection for us to rely, to have tawakkul ala Allah jalla wa ala. And that's why when it does, that slippery slope does happen, we, of course, don't realize the damage that it's making until it's too late. And this is what it is meant by the side effects of sin. Because sin and it's encompassing your heart, it darkening, blackening your heart, is a gradual process that creeps up onto you. And just because you don't feel it immediately doesn't mean that it is not having an effect on you. Whether it be you eating something haram, saying something haram, seeing something haram, doing something haram, and just brush it off very, very easily and say, well, it hasn't really affected me in any way. No, it has. You haven't seen it. كلا لو تعلمون. How? Anyone knows the rest? علم اليقين لترون الجحيم. Right? الذين يأكلون أموال اليتامى. What's the ayah? The ayah is about those who steal money of orphans. Right? Then the Quran says, إنما, verily indeed. يعني بنص المحاضرة, and they're vacuuming. Ali, can you go and speak to them, please? Go, Tony, go and tell them. العفو حجاج. Did they hear? شنو السالفة؟ صلى على محمد وآل محمد. إنما يأكلون في بطونهم نارا. Those who violate the rights of the orphans and steal from them, consume their wealth بالباطل, they are in reality consuming fire in their stomachs, but we don't see it. So sin has an immediate effect on you, but you, of course, can't see it. That's why it's all about having the moral compass on all the time. Moral compass needs to be on all the time. What are the common, simple obstacles that we always see? The cover-ups, the excuses that we always hear. Nobody's, what do they say? Nobody's perfect. We always hear that, don't we? Nobody's perfect. Again, that's a cover-up. That's you finding an excuse, right? Tuni, that's you finding an excuse, right? Muhammad, sit next to Shamlan, sit next to Ali over there. Yeah, sit next to Ali. No, not in front of the camera. Yeah. Good. Or they say, they say nobody's perfect. Or they say, for example, you can't tell me that you haven't done that. Or any of these other usual excuses that are mentioned. Right? When it comes to nobody's perfect, it's usually something to do with their conduct and their behavior. And that really is true. Nobody is perfect. But that's not the right attitude for me and you to have. Because you can be perfect in certain areas. You can reach Kamal in certain areas if you want to. Okay? So these are the usual common excuses that really do become an obstacle in your progress in life, whether it be in religion, whether it be in your successful life as well, work, studies, whatever it may be. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. That's way out of my league, and all these other things that put you down, doesn't uplift you. It doesn't elevate you. It doesn't motivate you. It doesn't inspire you. It damages you. And then that becomes a habit of yours that you give in. That you become indecisive. Oh, the boss is picking on me. Okay, change your job. The teacher is marking my grades very low. Okay, change your university, change your field, change your school to a better school, to a better uni, to a better Woolworths, to a better law firm, to a better carpentry apprenticeship, whatever they say, job site. And then another job site is going to be good from one angle, but bad from another angle. One time you might have a bad boss. Next time you might have bad, for example, workmates. One, you might have a bad teacher. Another time you might have a bad school. You might have a bad this. Nothing's going to be complete from every angle. Even if you go to the best university, to the best job site, to the best school, there's still going to be something wrong. What do? You adjust, you acclimate, you change, you focus, you block. Learn to block. You have to learn to block in your life. Block negative people. If they're sitting on this side, you sit on that side. So don't tell me that your school is any different to how it was in our times. At least now you have policies when it comes to bullying. We didn't have policies for bullying. The most common thing that, like minimum entry level bullying, was flushing someone's head in the toilet. That's like entry level. That's like, hey, we're just starting with you. Who does that now? Huh? Do you guys still have that? You don't have that now. You guys, when someone wants to bully them, they hit them with a tissue paper or something because they're very nazukis, right? So deal with it. That really makes you more of, stronger. It makes you stronger when you deal with these obstacles in your life, right? But again, where does it start? It starts when these areas of misguidance are neglected. First of all, you delay your prayer, then you skip your prayer, then you walk in front of the camera. That's good. In front of the camera. When Rayah? Oh, all right, sorry. then you skip your prayer, then you مثلا do this, then you do that. All right, let's go through these. Where's Mr. Reporter?
Neglecting acts of worship, especially prayer. Wasting time doing useless things.
Well, like what? What's an example of wasting time doing useless things?
Playing too much time on electronics.
Thank you.
For example, video games, movies, and
Yeah.
TV shows.
Thank you. What's another example? Reading a book is wasting time. Who?
Depends on what the book is about.
Shouldn't speak into you. Listen to this guy. What's wrong with you, Inter? What's another example? Roadblocks, yeah. Okay, wrong friends. What's an example? You tell me. What's an example? Wrong friends, him. What?
A friend that swears, I guess.
That what?
Swears a lot.
Swears, that uses vulgar language. That's right. Next.
Sinning.
Next.
Disobeying parents.
Disobeying parents.
Going out, free mixing, drugs, alcohol, etc.
Etic.
EC.
It's etic. Yeah.
And imitating others.
Imitating others. That's the marav. That's the sickness that we have as people. We love to imitate. We love to imitate others. And that is really the issue. And then, of course, avoiding Islamic programs, which basically means that if you don't have a routine in going to the masjid for Salatul Jama'ah, for dua tawassul, for dua, I'm not just talking about lectures. I'm talking about being in an Islamic environment. Dua tawassul, dua kumail, Salatul Jum'ah, muhadara, lecture here, a program there. You have to have something. You have to have some kind of routine where you are mixing in a nice, good, positive environment and replacing and filling what it is that you need, that's your nature. Because al-insan madaniyun bit-taba'. We are social by nature. We like to socialize. The problem is, who are you socializing with? That's the problem. This is, of course, the easy temptation when people are lured off the right path to sin in various ways. But the most simple of things that is very much applicable to everyone is love for dunya, love for money, and you walk past some people in their Lamborghini, in their, what's another expensive car? Camry? Huh? Echo? Right? What? These, of course, are simple temptations. And how many times have we mentioned this? Quick money as well. You're lured. How do you pronounce it? Lowered? Lured. How do you say it?
I say, personally, I say Lord. Luring.
Lord. ليش رب?
Luring.
Lured. Luring, of course, into the wrong path. Now, obviously, when you see someone who, for example, has accumulated so much wealth, they don't have a degree, that you can't see them working, their parents aren't rich, quick cash, where does that come from? comes from, of course, illegal work. It comes from obviously haram. And you're never going to find the pleasure in any of that as well, because it's going to very, very quickly catch up to you. And that's what happens. That's why they call it quick, because it ends quick as well. You accumulate it very quickly and it ends very, very quickly. And unfortunately, some very, very simple-minded people fall into that. Some very soft people fall into that. And that's the sad thing. And that's why, unfortunately, when you see these kind of examples, right, it's all because we have this big problem here in Australia. There are so many, unfortunately, more than what we are comfortable with, Muslims in jail. Now you're saying ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim all these times, and you want to be guided, and you are trying your best, but then you come to realize that there's something really, really dangerous happening around you. Where does that come from? Some of these people also from good families as well. Where does that come from? Look at the statistics. Reporter.
In April 2017, it was reported that most inmates in New South Wales Supermax Prison High-Risk Management Correctional Centre were Muslim, with only a handful of non-Muslims. Muslims made up 9% of prisoners, said
Now, that when you read that, most of the inmates in maximum security prison in New South Wales are Muslim. When you read that, does that make you proud? And does that make you, is that something honorable for you to hear? And you really think these people, these Muslims, they all come from broken families, from bad families. We can't say that the parents are not at fault. 100% the parents are at fault as well. But, there's something else happening here also. That's why you have to be careful. That's why when your mother says, I want to know who you're hanging around with, I want to know who you're communicating with, right? Don't think that they're trying to, yeah, thank you. And even if they want to control you, they control you for a good reason. That's a good thing. Not everything is bad. We need to have that. Every person needs to have that. Of course, distractions lead to destruction. And sometimes there are things that you might do that maybe seem to be innocent, but leads to a lot of really bad things, like being lazy, wasting your time, as we said, not having plans for your future, not being ambitious. Why don't you have ambition? I don't know how you guys can see the, what's his name over there? Ali, can you see it from there? Can you see it? Come closer. How about you, Abdullah? You can? How about you, Djiboutis? All right. Come, sit on that chair, Ali. There's a chair there. Being lazy or being distracted, easily distracted, right? That's why we say this is all a slippery slope, right? How to protect yourself from Shaitan. As we said, Shaitan, you've got the inner obstacle that we have. We've got the outer obstacle as well. You've got your nafs. And your nafs is ammaratan bisu'i illa ma rahima rabbi. Right? It's also pushing you towards maybe doing something wrong and bad. And this is why, what was your name? Muhammad. Read them. Calm down, slow down, speaking to. What's alima mean? So we know that in Islam, it's very important for us to make sure that we interact with the right people. Now, what kind of great bonus would it be if you interact with a alim, a scholar, who's not only going to educate you in affairs of religion, but also mentor you, also guide you, also make sure that he or she, alim or alimah, he or she is checking up on you, is informing you if you are maybe doing something wrong. Hey, be careful of this. You shouldn't have said that. Don't post this. Don't go there. Everyone needs someone like that. And that's why I'm saying that always be open for advice. The hadith says, خُذُوا الْحِكْمَةِ وَلَوْ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِ الْمَجَانِينَ. What does that mean? Take wisdom even if it comes from the mouth of an mkhabbal person, insane person. If it's hikmah, take it. خُذُوا الْحِكْمَةِ وَلَوْ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِ الْمُنَافِقِينَ. Even if he's a munafiq, he's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite. He doesn't practice what he preaches, but what he preaches, you know, is right. Take it. Because you'll benefit. He won't benefit. You will benefit. So interacting with someone like that and befriending someone like that is always going to be the best bonus for you. And be strict on yourself. This is also why I'm sharing with you practical ways in how we can keep ourselves immune for as long as possible. Reciting the Quran. Make sure that you're sincere with what it is you're doing. Reciting the Quran. Listening and reading the life stories of our ma'soomeen, of our ulama. That's also very, very useful. Of our shuhada. That's also very useful. You listen to this story about this great person at such a young age, achieved so much. What did they do? What did he do? What did she do? These are very inspirational for us. You know how many people go off and buy books about Mahatma Gandhi and the Dalai Lama and whatnot, and you have all these personalities at the tip of your fingers that you're not reading about, your ma'soomeen, your ulama. Basira is also very important, to have an insight, long-term insight, to know that if I don't do this, in 5 years, in 10 years, it's really going to affect me and damage me. That's why I need to make sure that I have insight into all of these things. Someone says to you, Yaba, don't do this, or listen to this. Stick with what it is that you are. Stay at your job sites. Stay in your field. Stop jumping. Stay in your area, in your field that you're in. Because there are going to be detrimental effects if you don't do that in the future. Right? Finish your life work. Going to be very, very quick. So, because we did start a little bit late. But Salam, can you read these? Ya Salam Farbande. What's that mean? Can anyone explain what that means? Do today, plan for tomorrow. Yes.
Don't procrastinate.
Thank you so much. What does procrastinate mean, Ahmed? Huh? What? Does it? Is that what it means? Rida, is that what it means? What does it mean, Rida? You don't know. What does it mean, Dajun? Ahsant. Is that right, reporter? Thank you. Reporter confirmed that you are right. And the last one, Ya Salam? Perseverance. Yes. Thank you very much. And this is why we, all of us, as Muslims, we have a duty for ourselves, towards ourselves, and also towards others. We have to guide ourselves, and we also have to assist in guiding others. I spend time, for example, preparing this program for the sake of reminding myself and also for the sake of reminding others. What's your effort that you're doing? If you bring a friend to the masjid or to the musalla or to the Husayniyah, you're also assisting in guidance. If you share a post, a lecture, a program with someone else, a hadith with someone else, you're also contributing. If you are making sure that you're sharing information with other people, al-mu'min mir'atu akhihi al-mu'min. A mu'min is the reflecting mirror of their fellow mu'min. Rahimallahu man ahda ilayya uyubi. So you want to share the faults. You want to make sure that you are guiding yourself and also guiding others, those who are around you. And of course, that's why we always ask hidayah and guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We always ask hidayah and guidance from God, because وَمَا تَوْفِيقِي إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. My tawfiq, my success comes from God, my guidance comes from God, but also I am responsible as well. I make choices and decisions as well. I need to also contribute to guiding myself and guiding others also. That's another practical way of how we can stay on the right path. Finally, patience is also very, very important. When we say patience, doesn't always mean when you're angry, be patient. No, it means that you are consistent with what it is that you do. It means that you bear the difficulties that you are going through. Whatever it may be, whether it be money problems, whether it be family issues, whether it be issues at school, at uni, at work, your patience, you have that patience, especially when it comes to having sabr and patience in front of sin. And that's what these two hadiths are about. Read them out, Jiba. What? Yeah. Come closer so you can see it.
Patience is three. One in the time of calamity, and one in worship.
Patience towards worship. Don't we need patience when we want to do ibadah? We need patience when we want to do ibadah, because ibadah is not difficult. It's not easy, it's difficult. That's why we say taklif, because taklif comes from the word kulfa, which means strenuous things. What's easier to do? What's easier to do? Lie down in bed and stay sleeping, or getting up and doing wudu, and waking up and praying fajr, or fasting in summer and whatnot. Of course, it's more difficult to do these ibadahs. So when you are obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to have patience. Towards sinning. You need to have sabr when it comes to ma'siyah. You need to have sabr when it comes to ma'siyah. Yani if you are faced with a situation where there's a sin there, you have the sabr. you have the patience and you resist it. Then the hadith from Imam Ali. Say, can't you see Ali? Why don't you change your what happened? Okay, sabr means that you have patience towards a calamity. Patience towards a calamity, which means, of course, you know, when you are faced with a calamity, you need to be patient. Or you are patient towards your obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or your patience towards disobedience. Patience towards disobedience, يعني you are patient in not sinning the Almighty. وهذا القسم الثالث, this third part, which is you being patient in resisting sin, is the highest level of patience. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now, one of the brothers asked that we have a question and answer session. We used to have that before, but because I sit back and we all sit down and listen and discuss, that's why we stopped it. I'd like to ask Sheikh Hamid to come and join us in the question and answer session, please. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sheikh Hamid is in Qom studying, and he's just back on a visit, and we are blessed to have him tonight as well. Alaikum salam. Okay, so the first question is, when you said the person done wudu, is that they wasted time? No, of course, if someone's doing wudu, it doesn't